Welcome everyone to the podcast. Thank you so much as always for joining me. I'm very much looking forward to diving into the February energy update with all of you. It is really interesting. First of all, I want to say the energy updates the last couple months, I would say like November, definitely December and January, are changing. And the reason why they're changing is before it was just like a set amount of things to talk about. Now there is so much that could be brought to the table that it's interesting to hear my guides kind of, not debate, but just talk about like what's pertinent right now to focus on versus all of the things that are going down, because there is so much happening in the world right now, so much changing, even energetically, even in terms of whether you see it as timelines or levels of consciousness or awakening. Like, it is unreal. So all to say, I have 5 points that I want to bring up today that were some of the most kind of important. Some of them are interesting, and I also have a feeling, because Spirit is really, really close right now, they may actually add on a couple, but we're just going to roll with it and see where it goes. All right, so the first thing that we're going to see with February is rabbit holes. Now, not literal rabbit holes in the ground, but rabbit holes. And what I mean by this is like so much info is coming to the surface right now, so many types of disclosure from, of course, ETs, UAPs, UFOs. What is the other term for it? They have another one. There's another new term for ET. Anyways, there's that coming to the surface for sure. There's also a lot of energy trying to oppose it or distort it and confuse it. And so what happens in that regard is we can get caught going down certain rabbit holes of people believing they have the intel, sharing what they know, people purposely distorting the intel and sharing what they know, people creating fear narratives around their intel and believing what they know. And again, it's so chaotic in the energy that it's really about using your discernment. So we have that with, the ET and disclosure piece, but there's also disclosure of a lot of other things coming to the surface. Things within the government, different practices and policies. There has been the disclosure as well of the JFK and Martin Luther King files. I have not read them, but apparently those have been brought to the surface. It's those kinds of things, but it's not even just limited to government pieces. It's even things within corporate, or they're even showing me like medical things. Even, again, it's a rising to the surface of things. But when they come to the surface, there are many rabbit holes that lead you to the deeper truths, but not all of them are accurate. But there's pieces within different ones that are accurate. So again, it's really about frequency and resonance for how you can start to discern what feels truthful for you. Because there's so much chaos in the narratives right now, but disclosure is happening on many levels. So it is both a really good thing, but it is being kind of intervened or tampered with by lots of different people or organizations for different reasons, bringing different pieces to the surface. And it's kind of like the way in which, rumors can spread so fast and change so quickly from what they were in the origin to what they are. And so it's kind of like with these rabbit holes, absolutely be willing to dive into the things that you're feeling interested in. But with everything that you gain from it, use your discernment. Don't believe things blindly, right? It's always so important to assess the energetics of the information you're getting. And then kind of trust what you're getting. If you read something and you're like, okay, that seems like there's some validity to it. And you're like, but there also feels like there's something off. So, there's a hole there somewhere. There's something missing. There's something I don't know. And it's okay to just be in that position of, I believe most of it, but I think there's something missing. Like, we're not living in a world right now where it has to be black and white anymore at all. And we're seeing the downfall of this black or white. We're seeing the crumbling of what that is and realizing, everything is shades of gray. So it's something to consider within how you move through information like that, is really taking into account, again, the frequency and the resonance of what you're reading, what you're learning, what you're listening to. Because there is a lot of truth, but there's a lot of twists and turns within that truth. Oh yes, and they also said to remind me to explain it like the flipping of an iceberg, right? Like, you know, when you see what we know right now is just the tip of the iceberg, and then when an iceberg decides it's going to flip over, the way in which it flips over, it kind of rocks back and forth and moves around, and we get to see so many different angles of it, different perspectives based on where you're looking at it from, before it truly reveals what it wants to reveal from underneath. So that imagery is something to keep in mind as this information is coming forward. It's rolling like an iceberg, and so you need to know your perspective. All right. Another thing is there's going to be more upheaval and confusion on planet Earth, and I mean the literal Earth, Mother Gaia herself, both showing the light and the dark. And so with that, I see, like, what they showed me was different Earth events. And I know there's the wildfires in California right now, and to all of you having to deal with that, my heart goes out to you big time. I can't even imagine how that must feel. So I don't say any of these things lightly or aloof, like it's just no big deal. I know the impacts are really significant for people feeling them. And so Mother Gaia is showing us the light and the dark within her capacity, right? Like, nature can run its course in unbelievable ways. However, nature can also renew in unbelievable ways, right? Think about how when COVID shut everything down, how smog in a lot of cities started to shift very quickly, right? How different ecosystems started to shift when human interaction was being limited in the way in which it's so dominant in our world right now, right? We're going to see the light and the dark. At the same time, we're also going to see the light and the dark of where it's actually not Mother Earth or Gaia's fault for the way in which she is acting. And what I mean by that is this kind of ties into the first part of Rabbit Holes, is we're going to see how there's more truth coming to the surface of weather manipulation, fracking, laser type things causing issues. Like, we're going to start to see more disclosure of those things, really bringing up the truth of what's actually going on, right? So in some cases we think it's all Mother Earth, but in fact it's not. And so that's why we're also going to see the light and the dark. And so Mother Earth is wanting to show this too, to be like, hey, listen, some of these things are actually happening to me, not by me. Some of these things are by me, but also look how I can regenerate. Because there's a narrative out there that, Mother Earth is done and over and just tired and wants humans to be off the planet and all of this. And when I tune into the energy, that's absolutely not the case. She wants union and harmony. And she does feel that from many, many people. But she also feels the disharmony from others or other organizations or things, we'll say. So we're going to be seeing this kind of upheaval and confusion. So even with that, the encouragement is to tune in to what you think is actually happening. Does this actually feel like Mother Earth herself, or is this a result of? Something to ponder, okay? The next thing is soothing in the higher realms. Now, this is really interesting because this was brought through to me earlier, and this is about finding solace in the higher realms, is what Spirit said. They said, helping you to get to the root of who you are, the roots like a tree, so that your branches can be up in the higher realms. So we've talked so much about grounding and how important grounding is right now. And if you can't be outside to literally ground, it takes your imagination to do it. It takes the imagery in your mind, or even setting the intent to have that in your mind. So I know for some people, they're like, I don't see anything in my mind ever. And a good test of that is if I tell you right now to think of a white elephant in your mind, do you see a white elephant in your mind? Can you see it? Can you imagine it? Some people are like, oh yeah, totally. If you can imagine it, then you can imagine yourself grounding anywhere. You can visualize it, you can feel it, you can create that reality, even though your body's not there. For those of you that can't, trust that your intent to do so is enough. You don't have to force yourself to see the vision. If you're intending to ground, you're taking the deep breaths to release your energy. You move it through your body, out through your feet. If you can't picture it, that is completely okay. Your intent is so mighty powerful. And so you're allowing it to happen by doing that. And so if you ground yourself daily, sometimes a couple times a day, if you ground yourself daily, and I have to work on this too, because I like to be way high up in the energies and I have to purposely ground, otherwise it throws my body out of whack. If you do this daily, then it's easier for you to, like Spirit said, spread your branches and your leaves into those higher realms to gain the nutrients from there, to gain the nutrients from the light. I mean, think about trees. They battle to get to the top, or they grow rather, to get to the top of the canopy, to gain the sunlight, to reach the nourishment from there. Because if they're stuck below the canopy in the shade zone, they can't reach all that light. They can't photosynthesize, right? So they need to get up higher to pull that energy in through their whole being and root it into the ground. So we need to be like those tall trees. And if we can get our leaves, as Spirit said, into those higher realms, sitting in that energy, we have a much higher capacity to bring that frequency into our whole being rather than in the dark zone, so to speak, in the lower frequency energy. It's so important right now because where we pull our energy from completely affects the body, dictates how the body is. Does the body have energy? Does it not? Does the body heal? Does it not? The body is transforming so much right now that it needs the nutrients. It needs the light, the higher energy, right? So it's kind of like if you imagine yourself, I don't know how you would visualize this. It's kind of whatever you would like. I mean, even picture yourself climbing a tree. Climb that tree every morning. You root into the energy of the ground at the root level, and then you climb up that tree way up into where all the greenery is, and the sunlight hits your face. And when the sunlight hits your face, you sit in that energy and you draw from that energy. And you picture your desires and manifestations and what you want from life and how you want to create your life and how you want to feel. And you drink that in every day. That helps you to find that soothing in the higher realms. The thing is right now is we have to consciously, purposely do that. And this is a general message, right? So maybe for some of you, you're like, no, I've like built a tree house way up in the tree. I am good. I'm there every day. And if that's the case, that's so fantastic. I love it. For most people though, it has to be a conscious choice to climb that tree every day. So it's just something to consider because you can really soothe your mind, body, and spirit from that higher level frequency and hold it into who you are. And the more you do that, the more you live your reality up there. And when I say up there, I don't mean detached from what's happening down in this reality either, but you're creating from that point, which creates your own kind of timeline, creates your own life path that differs from that of the collective, of those that are stuck in, whether we call it the rat race or 3D frequency density, whatever. You get to create the life you actually want. So it all starts with where you're pulling your energy from. What are you sitting in? What frequency are you being in and moving in is so important. Okay, the next thing Spirit said is, they said, music heals, soothes, and recalibrates. And they reminded me again, and they'd talked about this before, they reminded me of those beautiful little sound machines that you can attach the electrodes to like leaves and stuff and hear the tones and the frequencies of plants and trees and things. They said music is absolutely everywhere. If you were to go into the forest with the ears to hear, you would hear a beautiful symphony. And they're like, why do you think some people talk about when they have an NDE, they start hearing angelic music? It's because they're starting to hear the frequencies of the higher realms. Music is sound, right? Sound frequency is light in frequency. Does that make sense? Like it is it is what light sounds like. And so when you tune into those higher frequencies or you create those higher frequencies with sound and music, you can help also soothe and heal your body. So not only does visualization of being high up in that tree really help, or any kind of metaphor or visualization that helps with that idea, but so too does music. Playing the music, singing music, toning, right? Sometimes you just want to tone, hold a note for some reason. Be curious about what your body wants to do. right? It is wanting to recalibrate your body frequency at any time. One of the other things too, if you're really stressed, for example, you could try humming. Something as simple as humming. Everybody can hum, right? And when you're really stressed, if you take, say, 3 big breaths and release them, and then you start humming, you'll usually notice you start to hum at the frequency your body is at, and then your humming will often kind of lower. So you might start with a and then as you start to relax more, it changes and then you might feel like you really enjoy the feeling of a really low note hum. And again, you can see how that frequency is grounding you. Or for others, if you're feeling really like stagnant, you might hum and start to notice the sounds want to go higher, or they want to kind of like move and undulate, right? Like into and you can play with whatever that is. It doesn't just have to come from the body too, though. So if you play any other kind of instrument, whether it be sound bowls or the piano or guitar or the flute or anything, if you know how to play an instrument, allow that instrument to help you create and be in the frequencies you need to recalibrate your body. It is so incredibly powerful. Like it's funny when Spirit explains it, they're like, so many of you don't understand that music can transform your body. And we can even see it, how sound waves can even deconstruct a tumor, right? There's plenty of videos out there that show it in real time. Music has the ability to recalibrate. And so if we utilize it in consciousness, we can constantly recalibrate our bodies, bring it into whatever state of homeostasis it is. And I even suggested, like, you don't even, if you want to, you can, but you don't even have to look up exactly which tone should be which for what. I would encourage you, first of all, to explore. What sound do you like? Do you like the sound of a G or a C or a D? Which one speaks to you? Right? Depending on if you're playing a piano or a sound bowl, maybe just listen to the different notes on a piece of music or on YouTube. But you can also create that in your body by humming or singing out loud too. If you want to do like open throat singing, you can as well. But notice what your body is trying to tell you, because you have this internal capacity to recreate the frequency of your body. You can even try putting your hand on your heart when you hum, maybe one on your tummy as well, or when you sing, or even when you talk. Put your hand on your body and you can feel how the energy moves through your whole body. That alone has the power to help you heal, recalibrate, reset your mind, de-stress your body, calm your nervous system. You have it in you. We just need to take the time to do it. So big recommendation there from Spirit to take the time to explore it, because it is something in you already that you have access to, and it is one of the most powerful healing modalities that there is. So it's something very interesting. Now, the last thing I wanted to bring up too, and this was really interesting, and they wouldn't tell me too much about it, and it kind of feels like a little dangling carrot one, but there's more coming up about ancient Egypt, apparently in February also. So whether we hear of, some tombs being revealed, ancient artifacts being revealed, it's something more connected to the feminine, to be honest, but it feels like it's a significant reawakening of an energy. So whatever is opened, accessed, it's about the energy that it's releasing into the world, something that's been dormant for a really, really, really long time. There's a connection to frequency coming up in February to do with the energies of ancient Egypt. So I'm very curious to see what that is. But it's almost like when they're showing me right now, like if you were to read the heading of the article that says, this and this tomb revealed, it would have a frequency resonance within your body of like, yes, I know. And because it feels like so many of us were alive at the time in which that thing was put away, whether it was entombed, whether it was just hidden, whatever it is, I don't know, they won't tell me. But when it is revealed again, there's a resonant frequency of knowing within each and every one of us. So I'm very curious to see what that is. Again, they will give me the highest probable timelines. So the highest probability is we will see that in February. Sometimes things can shift and it can be a couple months later, but highest probability. So we're going to see what comes in February. And I think that's it. I'm just going to tune in with Spirit and see if they have anything else here. Hold on one second. Okay, they're also saying notice things happening in threes. Again, they brought this up before. They're like, it is so convenient for us to give you messages in threes so that it becomes real to you and valid and verified by something happening in threes. So there's also that insight. So notice what comes up for you this month in threes. All right. Okay, everyone, I will leave that with you all for now. Thank you so much, as always, for joining me on the show. I appreciate it. Please do share with anyone that may enjoy this. Please do hit that like button or subscribe if you haven't. And I sure appreciate each and every one of you. So thank you so much for your ears and your time. And I will see you all next week. Have a good one.